It's really easy to overlook the Reminders app on your iPhone, especially when there are so many paid alternatives out there that claim to do so much. But the fact is, for most of us, the Reminders app is more than capable of managing our daily lives. You just have to know how to get the most out of it. So with that in mind, here's 10 tips for the Reminders app that I reckon most people don't know. Okay, let's get into it. A smart list is a list that looks after itself. You set a couple of rules, and from that point on, it will pull in any reminders that match them. You don't have to maintain it or move things around. You set it up once, and it just works in the background. Here's how to make one. Open Reminders and tap the New List button in the top right corner. Tap List Type, then change it from Standard to Smart List. Give your list a name, then tap Edit Filters. This is where you choose what the list should keep an eye out for when new reminders are created. For example, if you want a list that shows the most important things that you need to focus on, you could create a high priority smart list. To do that, tap Priority, choose High, and that's all you need. Anything that you mark as high priority in the future will appear in here automatically. Or you might want something a bit different. You could use tags to pull in anything that has a specific tag attached to it, which is a nice way of bringing related tasks together from different lists. You could also use the Date filter to only show reminders that fall within a certain time period. And the great thing here is that you can combine several filters to build quite a specific smart list if you want to. So you can make it as simple or as detailed as you like. When you finish choosing your filters, tap the blue tick in the top right corner. You'll go back to the main screen for creating the list. Tap the blue tick once more, and your smart list is ready. From now on, reminders will keep it updated for you, and you don't need to touch it again. By the way, if you enjoy learning iPhone tricks like this, I send out a free iPhone lesson every day. It only takes a few seconds to read, and you'll learn loads of useful things over time. And did I mention it's free? If you'd like to give it a try, you can sign up by scanning the QR code on screen or clicking the link in the description. One of the quickest ways to add a reminder is to type the way that you'd normally speak. You don't need to open the details screen or set the date and time manually if you don't want to. To try it, tap Add Reminder and type something like dentist appointment next Tuesday at 4 p.m. As you're typing, you'll see a suggested date and time appear just above the keyboard. Tap that suggestion and reminders will drop the correct date and time into the details for you. You can do the same thing with repeating tasks. If you type pay council tax on the 1st of every month, reminders will show a suggestion for that schedule. Tap it and it will set the repeating reminder up for you automatically. It's a small tip, but it definitely makes getting reminders into your app that bit easier. Of course, reminders are only useful if you actually remember to complete them, and one of the easiest ways to do that is to see them on your home screen every time that you pick up your phone. By adding reminders to your home screen, you can see your tasks at a glance and tick them off without opening the app. Let me show you how to do it. Go to your home screen and long press anywhere. Tap Edit in the top left corner, then tap Add Widget. Scroll down to Reminders and choose the style that you want to use. When you're happy with it, tap the blue Add Widget button at the bottom of the screen. You'll now see it appear on your home screen. While you're still in edit mode, tap on the widget, tap List, and choose any list from your Reminders app. For example, your Today list or a specific list that you want to keep an eye on. Once that's done, tap Done. From now on, you'll see your tasks every time that you wake your phone, and you can quickly tap on an item to mark it as complete without needing to open the full app. It's a simple change that makes it much easier to stay on top of what needs doing throughout the day. Speaking of staying organized, especially when you're bouncing between meetings and creative projects, that brings me to today's sponsor, Plaud, and their updated Note Pin. It's a tiny wearable note-taking assistant that I've been using to take the stress out of trying to keep track of everything that gets said. It records a conversation, turns it into clear text, and gives you summaries, key points, and simple to-do lists. So I can stay present in the moment and still walk away with everything that I need. I've used it for client meetings and when planning videos. I just talk, get on with the conversation, then check the summary later, and it's made things much easier to stay on top of. One of the features that I've been using a lot is Ask Plaud. Once something's recorded, you can ask it to find whatever you need. I can ask it to pull out tasks from a week of meetings or find something I said in an older recording, and it brings it straight up. It can also help answer general questions using the tools it has access to, which has been really handy when I'm working through projects. Everything's stored securely on AWS, Azure, and Google Cloud, and Plaud now meets internationally recognized standards like GDPR, SOC 2, and others. I'll put a screenshot up so you can see it for yourself, but it's great to know how seriously they're taking that side of things. Because it's magnetic, it's super convenient. I usually wear it clipped to my shirt, and there's a lanyard and a wristband too. It's lightweight and subtle, making it so much better for using in a meeting than your iPhone. With 20 hours of continuous recording, I can just take the note pin and fully focus on the conversation instead of constantly fiddling with my phone. It's honestly just a product that's slotted into my routine without any effort. If you want to check out the Plaud note pin and see how it could work for you, there is a link in the description. If you want to add reminders as soon as you think of them without going through the app, and you don't want to have to use Siri, you can add reminders to Control Center or assign it to the action button on supported iPhones. Both options give you a really quick way to drop something into reminders the moment it pops into your head. Let me show you how to set them up. First, Control Center. Open Control Center on your iPhone. Long press anywhere in Control Center to enter edit mode. Then tap Add a Control in the bottom corner. In the search box at the top, type Reminders, then tap on New Reminder to add it to Control Center. From now on, whenever you swipe down to open Control Center, you can tap New Reminder and go straight into creating a task without having to open the Reminders app first. It's a nice way to capture things quickly without coming out of whatever you're doing. If you're using an iPhone with an action button, you can set that to create reminders too. Open Settings, tap Action button, and scroll through the preset options until you reach Controls. Tap the Selection button, and you can basically choose from anything from Control Center, so choose New Reminder. Once that's set, you can hold the Action button to create a reminder instantly. It's one of the quickest ways to add tasks on the go, and it works really well if you don't always want to open the app. A really handy part of Reminders is how well it connects with other apps on your iPhone, but it isn't necessarily immediately obvious how the different apps on your iPhone integrate with Reminders. So let me show you how this works for some of the most commonly used apps. If you're working on a note and you want to be reminded about that note, press the share button in the upper right corner of the screen. At the top of the window that appears, make sure it says Send Copy. Then tap Reminders, and you can choose the list you'd like the reminder to go into. You'll see a preview of the reminder as it's going to be created. You can tap into it if you like and edit any of the notes before pressing the yellow tick in the top right corner to create the reminder. If I now go back to the Reminders app, you can see the reminder that we've just created, complete with a link that will take me straight through to that particular note. From Safari, it's a similar process. Press the ellipsis button in the bottom right corner, then tap the share button and choose Reminders from the list of available apps. Again, customize this however you like, then press the blue tick in the upper right corner to create your reminder. With Mail, the process is one step more complicated, simply because of the way that the Mail app works. You can't share an email directly into Reminders. You first have to select some text within the email. And the good thing is, that can be text in the body of the email or text in the subject line at the top. Just long press to bring up the selection tools, choose the text that you want, then in the menu that appears, press the right pointing arrow. On the next menu, press Share, then choose Reminders from the available apps. Again, you'll see that you can create a reminder that links straight back to this email. You can group different lists together into a stack of lists, and in case you haven't seen how to do that, it's very simple. On the main Reminders screen, long press on any list and drop it on top of another one. This creates a group. You can give the group a name, then press the blue tick in the upper right corner. You'll now see a group icon that you can collapse or expand to show all of the lists inside. You can also tap on the group to see all of the individual lists together, complete with their reminders. However, there is another way to organize particularly complicated lists, and that's by using sections. To do this, open the list that you want to organize, tap the ellipsis in the upper right corner, and choose New Section. A new section will appear, and you can give it any name that you like that makes sense for your list. Everything inside that section can now be collapsed or expanded. One thing to be aware of is that when a new section is created, it appears above all of the reminders that are already in the list. So those existing reminders end up in their own section. You can tap into that section to give it a name. It's a bit of an odd behavior in reminders, but once you know it's there, it makes sense. If you want to edit your sections, tap the ellipsis again. You'll notice that New Section has changed to Manage Sections. Tap on that, then choose Edit Sections. You can move sections around, rename them, or delete anything that you no longer need. I've mentioned this next tip in quite a few of my videos, and it's always an aha moment for people when they see it for the first time. If you have a list that you use on a regular basis, for example, if you tend to pack the same things every time that you go away for a weekend, you can create that list once, save it as a template, and then reuse it whenever you need it. You don't have to build the whole thing from scratch every time. To do this, start by creating the actual list itself. You can see here that I've got a list of items that I'd usually take with me on a weekend break. Once the list is ready, tap the ellipsis in the top right corner of the screen and choose Save as Template. Give the template a name. Remember, this is the name for the template itself, not the name of each individual list that you create from it, so name it accordingly. Then press the blue tick in the upper right corner. The next time that you want to create a list from this template, go back to the main reminders screen and tap the New List button in the top right corner. At the top of the screen, choose Template. You'll see the template that we just created. Tap on it, and now you can give this particular list its own unique name. So for example, this might be something like January Weekend. Press Create, and the new list will be added to your reminders. If I now tap into the list, you'll see that it's been created from the template, complete with everything that I added originally, ready for me to adjust however I like. For some reason, one of the most glaring omissions in reminders on iOS is the ability to share voice memos directly from the Voice Memos app into reminders. It would be a really useful feature because you could record ideas as you have them and then be reminded about them later on. Apple don't allow that, and trust me, I've tried everything to get this to work. However, there is a workaround, and that's to stop using the Voice Memos app for this and use the Notes app instead. To do this, open Notes, create a new note, then tap the paperclip button in the menu above the keyboard. Choose Record Audio, press the red record button, and record your thoughts exactly as you normally would. When you've finished, press pause, then press the yellow tick in the upper right corner. What you've done here is create a voice memo inside a note. Now at this point, you would think that you could just press the share button and send the note straight into reminders, but it's almost like Apple really don't want you to do this. When you try to share a note that contains an audio recording, reminders doesn't appear as an option in the share sheet. So we have to use yet another workaround. Make sure that you're in the main list view where you can see all of your notes. Long press on the note that we've just created, the one with the voice memo inside, and start dragging it around the screen. Keep your finger held down, and with your other hand, swipe up to close notes, then tap into reminders, and simply drop the note anywhere in your reminders list. You'll see that a new reminder is created, complete with a link back to your note, and when you tap that link, it opens the voice memo that you recorded. A massively underused feature of reminders, and I think the reason it's underused is simply because most people don't know it exists, is Subtasks. You already know that you can go into the Reminders app and tap to create a reminder using any of the methods that we've already talked about in this video. But once you've created a reminder, if you tap on it, you'll see an I or info button on the right. Tap that, and if you scroll down about halfway, you'll see an option called Subtasks. Tap into this, then press Add Reminder, and you can start adding the extra steps that you need. When you've added everything that you want, press the back button in the top left, then press the blue tick to save it. You'll now see that the reminder has a small collapsible button to the right, and if you collapse it, you'll also see a number. That number tells you how many subtasks are inside. You can expand it to show each individual step. The idea is simple. As you work through those steps, just tap to tick them off. It's a really nice way to handle tasks that aren't big enough to need a whole project plan, but still have several parts to them. This one is a really handy feature, but it only appears on iPhones that support Apple Intelligence. If you don't see the option, it's simply because your device doesn't support these features yet. If you do have it though, this is a brilliant way to tidy up a long list without lifting a finger. To use it, open the list that you want to organize, then tap the ellipsis in the top right corner of the screen. In the menu that appears, you'll see an option called Auto Categorize. Tap this and reminders will scan the entire list and automatically group your tasks into logical sections. These might include things like work, home, shopping, travel, or anything else that reminders can organize from the text of each reminder. Once it's finished, you'll see your list neatly broken up into sections that you can collapse or expand, which makes the whole list much easier to read and work through. And because this is automated, it's a great option if you've been running a single long list for a while and it's starting to feel a bit overwhelming. If you ever want to go back to a simple list, just tap the ellipsis again and remove the categorization. But if your device supports it, this is a really quick way to give yourself a fresh start with barely any effort at all. So there you go, 10 tips that hopefully show you just how capable the Reminders app on your iPhone is when you know how to use it. What about you? Did you learn anything new? Or are there any tips that you think I should have included? Drop me a comment and let me know. And don't forget, if you'd like to receive an iPhone tip every day in your inbox for free, sign up to the Daily Swipe. You can use the QR code on screen or the link in the description. And as ever, if you found this video useful, do please consider leaving me a like and subscribing to my channel for more content like this in the future. See you on the next video.